Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher. My God, has it been too long since I have done that. Wow. Hello again. I'm back in front of my PC. I haven't played a video game in 8 days. 8 days of no video games. And I'm here and I'm looking at the screen of Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos. During my absence, I got a lot of time to kind of think about stuff. And what happens generally when you're sat in a hospital is, of course, you're thinking about the things that brought you to the hospital, but occasionally your mind does wander when you sat there for many, many hours. And I started thinking that recently I played Warcraft 3 The Reign of Chaos, right? And I had mixed feelings on it. And you would think, you know, it's the Warcraft universe, you love Warcraft, blah, 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 blah. I didn't have that feeling. I had also had some regrets about playing this game. Let's pick a random Shores of Northrend. Why not? Kind of proves my point. If it's the mission, I believe it is. I had mixed feelings about this. I streamed this game for a number of reasons. One, I kind of felt like the ultimate douchebag of hell because I referenced this game a hell of a lot. In my other videos, you know, my big videos, I've taken footage from this, the famous Derek Proudmoore scene that we brought into the Jaina Proudmoore video and all that kind of stuff. I referenced the crap out of this game and I used footage from this game and I'd never played it. I'd never played it through. I'd heard things about it, my friends talk about it, blah, 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 but I just hadn't played it. So I picked it up, it's really cheap. And I played through it and I had a fucking great time playing it. I had a really great time playing it. And then I started to notice silly things. One of them is right there. It's Arthas, right? We know Arthas, but look under his legs. I knew without having to look around what the hell that buff was. I knew what it was. And then I look at his character screen, and I see this, and I know what that is. I don't need to mouse over this icon, because I know what it is. I knew without anybody having to tell me. I knew what was going on, and if I go into here, and I see this symbol, I know what that is, and I knew what this is as well. It's kind of the crux of the issue that I had, and let me try and explain it. Patience is something that's very much lacking, I think, in a lot of games that take an existing franchise and try and build it into the MMO world. Look at Conan. Conan was not a great game, but one thing it didn't do was, in my opinion anyway, was pay enough sort of respect to the world that existed in when I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger kicking ass and taking names. You know, I say, well, it wasn't a great big world. It certainly wasn't as big as, say, the Warcraft universe, right? Which was built in a game originally. No, you're right. It wasn't. But although it was dusty and settled, it certainly didn't strike me as, oh, I'm in the Conan world. I also had that with Star Wars The Old Republic. For me, the world of Star Wars The Old Republic was very Star Wars because if you slap a lightsaber and a speeder bike and let a load of Sith logos and black cloaks everywhere, it's hard not to say this isn't part of the Star Wars universe, right? It's very difficult to be that guy. You can't say it's not Star Wars. But what it didn't do was make me feel, without having to look at anything, that I was definitely in the Star Wars universe. If those logos weren't plastered everywhere, which notably they are not in this game, I wouldn't have been able to tell it from any sort of other sci-fi. Realistically, as a sort of non-biased sort of point of view there. Some people are like, well, I could tell it was Star Wars. How dare you be good Star Wars? I also had the same feeling in Lord of the Rings. When I played the Lord of the Rings online, I was in the Shire. Didn't look like the Shire to me. It didn't. It didn't strike me as the Shire. I was playing a Hobbit, but one thing I certainly didn't feel was that I was part of the Shire. Now, some people disagree with that, and each their own opinion. Why did I regret playing this game? I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. I will never, ever appreciate World of Warcraft the way someone who played this game will. And that makes me feel really bad because I've had thoughts and feelings over the years and years I played World of Warcraft that have certainly not always been the kindest towards the game. They certainly have not always been the kindest. And I've always thought, why is this not better in certain aspects? I'm talking about the visual elements of the world, specifically. Why is this not better? Why is this, like, kind of samey? And I believe any moment now we're actually going to come up on a camp. I think it's up here. And that's going to strike the point home. I'm hoping I've picked the right mission. When Blizzard set out to make World of Warcraft, obviously one of the things they wanted to do, and obviously with good reason, is they wanted to bring people into the world that they had created. When making a game, especially like modern era games, it seems more likely that in order to do that is they take some kind of existing elements and then they do their utmost to sort of make it bigger and better. Bigger and better is like the big thing with games, right? If we're going to do a game and we're going to make the next in the series, the next in the franchise, all that kind of stuff, bigger and better is the way we go. And I found that kind of to be detrimental when someone takes an existing franchise and then makes a MMO out of it. Like, yeah, the games I've already mentioned, like Conan, Star Wars, and Lord of the Rings. They're taking an existing universe that people kind of have a preconceived image of, and then they want to make it into an MMO. And what they do is they kind of use a few of the assets and a few of the ideas. Oh, cool, it is the camp. Excellent. And then they kind of stick them around, and people go, oh, there's that bit, but the rest of the game's kind of different. Warcraft and Blizzard didn't do that. They exercised something that I find actually pretty rare. It was patience, and I now have a sort of renewed... I'm going to get kind of emo about this, but I'm feeling kind of emo anyway just now. They have a pride in this world that I don't think I've seen in any other gaming franchise for a long-ass time, and I have a renewed appreciation of World of Warcraft because of it. As much as I do regret, for the reasons I've said, not playing this game when it came out, I just unfortunately was not a child of Warcraft. I was playing other games. This is 2002 this game came out, by the way. It's 11 years old. I just... I've been kind of cruel about certain aspects of the game that I thought, you know, you could have done more with this. I don't feel that way anymore, and I in fact feel kind of a douche for feeling that way in the first place, and I'm going to show you what I mean. If I could find some buildings. Let me get some bods. We've got Murd in here. Yeah, I kind of just... I know the mission actually takes place elsewhere here. I am actually just going to stick around here for now. This is what I'm talking about. This building right here. Every single one of you could tell me the exact internal layout of that building, no questions asked. Not even a question asked. You could tell me the exact internal layout of that building specifically. Because if you've played World of Warcraft, you've been inside this building a million times. And I always used to be kind of like a bit of a douchebag about this thing and say things like, oh, why do they always use this building? And now I'm starting to get the feeling that they used this fucking building so many times because it's actually a building there. It's actually a little structure and a little graphic that they threw into a game in 2002 that they're extremely proud of and is actually 100% tribute to the game. Look at these guys. Look at just look. This is 2002. 2013. Yeah. Exactly. You know this guy. You know him exactly. You know this guy. I'm probably going to die here, but I'm going to discuss anyway. This watchtower, I know the internal layout of it all. The Death Knight, Wrath of the Lich King. This church. Everybody knows this church. Everyone knows, even these farmhouses. Goldshire is rife with these. Now, you can say World of Warcraft came out in like 2006. I believe my history is correct there. So they haven't changed that much. Well, we're in 2013 now, and you know what? They haven't changed it either. And you know why? And I can only come up with one answer in my head, is that they fucking really take an immense amount of pride in what this universe means to people. And they also made the decision that I think a lot of game companies who try and make MMOs, everybody's always trying to beat World of Warcraft, and they try and do that through various methods, right? They try and use an existing franchise. We can look at Star Trek Online. And they say, we're going to make Star Trek, and it's an MMO. We want to make this MMO, which is a sci-fi shooter MMO, and you know what? We're going to base it in the Star Trek universe. And then it falls apart, because what they don't do is pay enough respect to the franchise in which it came from. Nobody's saying there's a lack of things to base things from the Star Trek universe, right? There is endless amounts of footage and stuff, and still that game just didn't pay enough respect to it. It didn't pay enough respect to the world it came from. It didn't pay enough to the franchise that already existed. And what we ultimately ended up with was a kind of space-based combat where the ships were recognizable, kind of. In some respects, they were just exact duplicates, which we're fine with, but very few and far between. Then there was the modifications. But the world itself wasn't quite what we hoped for. Warp travel was just nothing like what it is in the series. And we want to experience what they experience in the series. That's just the be-all and end-all of it. What Blizzard did is say, you know what the best way of enabling us to bring people into the Warcraft universe is? And someone was like, what? It's like, we'll use the exact things. And you know why? Because all those things we created in 2002, I'm fucking proud of. And you know what? It's exactly what people want. And it's so true. And I've never been able to appreciate the level of care and detail that is transferred from this world into World of Warcraft. And I can only possibly glimpse and even closely gather what that feeling must be for people who played this game at time to walk up these trees. I know these trees. I've seen them everywhere. These exact trees just rendered properly in a 3D world. These ghouls. Look at everybody knows these ghouls, even now in 2013. They have barely changed. These ghouls are still pretty much exactly what we expect to see in World of Warcraft today, and nobody bats an eye. People say, oh, the graphical quality of World of Warcraft isn't the best. You know what? There's more to it than that. There really is so much more to it than that, because Blizzard gives a fuck about the world it came from, and it remembers its roots. And instead of being that chief douchebag who's like, oh, you know, we're going to make the new game, what we need to do is make this game better. We should make it bigger. That thing we designed, that little building we made in 2002, yeah, well, you know, we're making it into a big MMO world. We're having expansion upon expansion. We can make it bigger and better. And you've got to have the feeling that, as a developer, sure, they had that inclination. But somebody at Blizzard went, hold your fucking horses. Probably Metzen. It's always Metzen. Metzen was like, no. This small team of us in this little office, before we made all the fucking millions and millions and millions, these guys, you know what, we give a fuck about what we did there. That is Devotion Aura. And it's still in the game today, and nobody bats a fucking eye. No one says, oh, Devotion Aura looks crap. And you know why? Because the graphics that they made in 2002 are still perfectly fine. And everybody knows what it is. It's recognizable. I feel a part of the world because of details. It's not just the fact that I'm holding a lightsaber in Star Wars The Old Republic that tells me this is Star Wars. I could pick up this character and just go, hey, I've seen every single little detail of this before, and this is the Warcraft universe. I don't need the UI. I don't need anybody to tell me what game I'm playing, because if I play World of Warcraft, I know this. I know this from there. And I could recognize it from these trees. I could. Someone should show me a screen of that. I was like, oh, those are the trees from Warcraft. It's the details that really matter, and those are the things that get lost when things get bigger and better, in my opinion anyway. And then there's the other things where they take pride as well. We've seen Arthas already. He's got Divine Shield, of course, as we expect. Let's look at Muradin. Where are you, Muradin? Come here, buddy. Because this is easily my favourite character in this game, by the way. This guy's so awesome. Look what Muradin's spells are, right? And some of you who've never played this game are going to be fucking mind-blown right now. Stormbolt. Thunderclap. And they know he has Avatar. So we need to go level Muradin to show Avatar, because it's just the best thing in the universe. But what's important there? Muradin Bronzebeard in the 2002 game has the level 90 warrior talents that did not come into the game until Mists of Pandaria. Think about the fucking patience. Think about the sort of thinking that went on there in development of these spells that came up in 2002, and I'm not even fucking joking, is these spells basically do exactly what they do in World of Warcraft. That alone is so incredible. I mean, absolutely, I'm going to Stormbolt this guy. Take it, Wendigo. Take it in the face. Take it like a boss and suck it. I mean, that's a holy light on this guy. Just because I've done so much raid healing, it's pretty fucking easy these days, you know? This is absolutely astonishing. It is astonishing. This guy's packing the level 90 mage talents, the level 90 warrior talents, that we didn't see for years in World of Warcraft. Yet they were in the game. I mean, I was the guy. You didn't level Muradin. You let me down, bruh. You just... There we go. Go, Wendigo. Take it like a champ. Take it and love it. I asked the question, and lots of you watched me. Hundreds upon hundreds of you watched me stream the Mists of Pandaria beta on my warrior when I was playing. And so many of you were in that stream. Hundreds of you. Asking me, what the hell will Avatar look like? Tell me about Avatar. Did you level? You suck, Muradin. You need one of them... You need to get yourself an in-game shot, Muradin. You need to get it fixed. A Divine Shield for Arthas. Loving it. Get the Heartstones going. So many people are like, what the hell will Avatar look like? Because it sounded tremendous. And to people who hadn't played Warcraft 3, it sounded absolutely immense. It sounded incredible. And I should have known the answer. Is what I say to everybody. Is we should have known the answer, because guess what? Avatar, the graphic used of Avatar in 2002. For the latest expansion. Oh, it's Ras Frostwhisper. I remember you. And you know what? You look exactly as you do in the game. And that is freaking awesome. I just lost my Blood Elf Priest care box. You know what I mean? Blood Elf Priest died. That's a sad day. It's a very sad day. Die, Ras Frostwhisper. See you, buddy. Love you, buddy. Had a great time with you in Strat. Thought you were great. Lovely boss. I should have known. Because Avatar is exactly the same as it is in Warcraft 3. The same design, the same purpose, exactly what it did there. And people think, oh, you're being a bit kind here to the game. Just think about a game a decade later that is still paying tribute to its assets that it had a decade later. It strikes me in the memory of Command & Conquer Renegade, for those of you who are fortunate not to have played Command & Conquer Renegade, where they tried to do something similar, which was take the Command & Conquer universe and make it into an FPS. And all they did, quite literally, is duplicate the buildings, because obviously it was an RTS game, and then just put a room inside them. A basic, simple room, and it didn't make sense for the buildings. So your tanks would just come out of nowhere. Your men would just appear out of thin air. Not the case with Warcraft, because they care about their world and the detail they put into it, and I find it absolutely extraordinary. I find it completely extraordinary that they just decided the best way is to literally pay tribute to the world we created back then, because the world we created back then is fucking awesome, and we're proud of it. And I'm sure 10 years down the line they didn't think they'd still be thinking that, yet here we are. And I play this game and I can only imagine what some people must have felt the first time they actually saw the ice trolls. The first time they saw these buildings, which are, as I say, they're in World of Warcraft, they're completely the same buildings. And not only that, but their internal structure made sense. And the way they worked made sense. And the spells made sense. And then the actual feeling that a Warcraft 3 player must have had when they actually unlocked things like Avatar, which they had been waiting years for. Avatar's coming into the game, that meant nothing to me. At all. It meant absolutely nothing to me. One of the big things that I kind of want to finish up on here is that I'm amazed it took so long for Wrath of the Lich King expansion and the story of Arthas to come into the game, and just really demonstrates the patience again. The actual, we can hold back for years before we actually bring out the big guns, which is our main franchise, which is the big story we used in Warcraft 3. And sure, we're going to hold back a little while because we just used that story in Warcraft 3. But then when they did it, God, I would have cared so much more. I would have cared so much more. And the buzz in my guild from those who had played Warcraft 3 about the fact that Arthas was coming. Look at these guys. When Wrath of the Lich King came out and we eventually ended up here, we're in Northrend, by the way, right now. To see these, and we know what they did, and then their internals were also awesome. And then to see all these places, the necropolises, all this stuff. There's Nax, right there, floating above the thing. And Naxxramas comes into the game and you see it and you just think, yeah, baby. And this is exactly how it should be. I enjoyed the blast out of this game. And this is not just this campaign as well. This is just the human campaign. You got the orcs with Thrall. The only thing that seemed to dramatically change, in fact, was the Taurens. And I agree, they kind of look crappy in this game. And for reasonable reasons. But wow. GG, Blizz. I've been very critical of Blizz in the past, on many occasions. Because I love their work. And sometimes I don't always agree with the decisions. And then sometimes I think maybe you're not taking enough care into the world you've created and you're making decisions which aren't the best going forward. But after playing this, you know what I've got to say to that? To say to myself is, you know what, 10 years on, 11 years on, you're still paying tribute to the world you created initially, and now I have a lot more faith with whatever decision they make. They give a shit. They really give a shit, and they give a lot of pride, which I didn't understand in the past. And many of you will already understand that, or maybe you've forgotten, because we spent so much time in World of Warcraft. Is they really care. They care about the world they created. Those few guys who came up with this entire universe. And then 11 years later, they're still paying absolute tribute to it. Take it easy, guys. It's good to be back. Bye.